This was quite the shocking episode of Shangri-La Frontier for a few different reasons. I mean, one, they say, hey, you know what? You just had episodes worth of animation that was absolutely incredible for fights. Let's give you a little bonus fight here. Sure, it may not be the longest thing, and I assume Psyger Zero crushed our girl Arthur. I mean, Pencil, she ain't popping out of that one. If she does, I doubt she's gonna survive for much longer. We have kind of the resolution, the kind of epilogue cutscene to the whole event, which was emotional and honestly quite impressive. But they do some things that I saw some people say, like, oh, I really hope there's a server announcement, people get to know who did it. That all happened. The thing that's really shocking, though, is the world story element, because, really? We have a bit more information than the general characters do about it, but we still don't know jack all. The fact that they've done this 2 or 3 times, at least 2 times, maybe 3 times total. We've seen kind of like the server area, and we've seen this computer. I think the first time we saw it was when he first went up against the Sunraku, that is, went up against the first unique boss that was out there. We saw this computer. We went from 11% to 12% with the world story. Now, world story is probably something to do with how the world actually evolves and changes. That probably incorporates unique monsters, unique scenarios and stuff, because there's a actual game story to this, which the players know about. And while you might want to say 1% isn't that massive of a jump, given that we just defeated one of the 7 unique bosses that are in this game seemingly, I actually think that is the perfect amount, because if you think about it, how many little events probably help progress the world story? We were at 11% before this battle happened, meaning everything that this very popular game, the most player base in all their world, up to this point they were able to progress it to 11%. All those little things matter, and then one boss jumped it up as a whole percentage, and you got a server announcement about it. I think this is actually really interesting because we get a name drop of Bahamut, which apparently there's no creature or entity in this game named Bahamut. Does that mean we need to get the world story to a certain percentage to be able to find it? Do we have to defeat, or at least have in the game, all of the unique bosses dealt with before it will pop up? What happens when the world story gets to 100%? Does that mean it's a server restart? Is it like a soft reset? There's a lot of uncertainty, and these are the little things that the gamer within me is like, oh my god, if you thought you were gonna be able to get out of this game, get out of your addiction to Shangri-La Frontier, when you get a server announcement that not only someone was able to defeat one of these unique bosses, now we know about the world story, like what's gonna happen when the world story progresses to a certain point. Well, let's keep on hustling, let's keep grinding, let's make sure this world evolves because I want to see where it goes. This is why I love this show. I have a full live reaction, episode 19 of Shangri-La Frontier over on my Patreon. If you want to see my full uncut thoughts, they're over there if you're interested. It's been such a treat, man. This has been such a pleasant surprise. I mean, when I compare my initial excitement for the show in the first 6 episodes or so, man, I was loving that show. I was like, this is so fun. This is awesome. The amount of joy I have for this show now compared to when I started this show, it feels like I didn't even like the show. And I did. I loved it. I was gushing about it since episode 1. But where we're at now and how everything's evolved, the comedic directing, the animation has literally gotten better with time somehow. Hell, they came off of an insane battle. In my opinion, the best video game battle we've seen in anime, period. And they said, hey, we're gonna keep up the animation. Even if it's only a couple of sword swings, I mean, seriously, you calm down after for 2 or 3 episodes. Maybe you go for one more big battle before the season wraps up, but man, this team's like, hey, it doesn't matter if it was in the source material or not, we're giving it our all, and I appreciate it. But I like the idea. We still don't know exactly what they got reward-wise. Right now, it seems like name recognition, which, I mean, for a lot of gamers would be enough. There's definitely going to be something in terms of, stat-wise, they probably leveled up quite a bit. There's probably some sort of, hidden item that they're going to get or something. There's going to be some bonuses that they haven't talked about just yet, which they probably will when, obviously, this whole dilemma is currently situated. Of course, we did get quite the loot from the PKers, which, it's interesting because our girl Arthur is, it's interesting, she's kind of going for this clean restart kind of thing, and I like that, because obviously when you PK, you're gonna stack up a lot of penalties, and those penalties seemingly only are cashed out if you were to fall in battle and die. So the idea that basically she's thinking, okay, you know what, I completed my quest for this game, fresh restart. Gonna be a big penalty, I'm sure, but you know, this is what it is. But before I let my character suffer jail time, basically, I need to go all out against Psyger 0, which honestly, these are the things I love. So they're getting like ambushed by the PKers who are all pissy, like, oh, well, you just got done fighting, so you probably don't have the energy to fight us. Honestly, it's not the worst logic. It's entirely possible without reinforcements, we would have been a little more sweating during that. But the idea that you can actually call a friend if you're being targeted by PKers. That's actually a really good game mechanic, because there's been different games that I played, like even old school RuneScape, man. Like just the idea that these are the types of things you'd want, because you don't want to be targeted by PKers. Most people don't. And sometimes if you're in the big open areas, you have no choice but to just run for your life or try to fight back. And the idea that you can call in your bestie to just help you is just awesome. I love that type of stuff. And yeah, it was, I think they said it was less than a minute she was able to deal with all of them, like 50 seconds or something. And that's a humbling experience, man. Not only did you get betrayed by someone you thought you could trust, hell, this dude got betrayed by his sister. Like, this was brother and sister having a little family feud here. You get robbed for all your goods because they dropped, and your guild has nothing now. And the idea that the people that she was using in order to, like, fight the PKers now realize that, you know, they were used by her. Just such a great situation all around. And honestly, well, SLF Theater, which happens at the end of every episode after the credits, is this little chibi kind of theater short skits. They're never like something I'm overly into. They're just kind of like fun. They're there, they're whatever. I'm never gonna think about them too much. I will admit the very final part of this episode got me. The idea of Emil basically like calling into reporter on scene Sunraku about the carrots in the field, and there's this giant worm eating the carrots, and how it's like a reporter trying to do the weather and there's a tornado behind him approaching and he has to keep still and just like commit to the bit. That one was actually pretty funny. I have no idea where the world story will go. Obviously we have a handful of episodes left. Obviously I want a season 2. I want to see how this is all going to open up. But I love the fact that the more you see of Shangri-La Frontier, the game that is, the more you realize why it's so popular, why it's actually a well-designed game, and how these big raids, like the boss that they just fought Weathermon, is probably actually designed for 100 players to try to do it together, if I'm being honest. But the idea that these 3 lovable, talented idiots were able to accomplish the impossible, you know, this was a first, and we can see collectively the game community just being like, we gotta wake up the professor, I hope his wife's logged in, and just I love it's. This is so cool because this is such a turning point for the game community. Good and bad players are all going to be freaking out about this announcement, and there's no more blending in. He already wasn't really blending in because of his look and obviously the Vorpal Bunny stuff. Now it's going to be impossible, and honestly, I don't know where we go from here. Let me know what you thought of this week's episode. I definitely thought it was quite shocking with the world kind of changing in those types of events, but let me know what you're feeling down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're around here, of course, ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more. And like I mentioned, we have a full live reaction over on my Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. So today we have Lesik Sykes, Bird's Nest, Gomison, Matter Paradoxa, and Count Viscount. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.